What's up, fantasy managers? Welcome back to another episode of the First Pitch Podcast brought to you by PitcherList.com. My name is Jake Crumpler, and I'll be your host for this edition of the pod. You can follow me on Twitter at Jake Crumpler, and you can find all of my work at CrumplerBaseball.com. Let's dive into everything baseball related from Sunday, July 13th. We'll start it off, as always, with the transactions, injuries, news, and notes from around the league, kicking things off with the bad news as outfielder Lars Nootbaar was placed on the 10-day IL with a costochondral sprain. I am familiar with that because I deal with costochondritis myself, which is basically like inflammation in your chest. So I know how painful that can be. I deal with it on a daily basis. So, not trying to compare myself to Nootbaar, but yeah, he'll be fine. He'll be okay. He should be back right after the All-Star break. But Jose Fermin played left field in the first day of Nootbaar's absence, but it looks like Brendan Donovan could be shifting to left field to accommodate a second base platoon between Nolan Gorman and Thomas Segasi. This could all be a moot point, or should I say a Noot point, with the All-Star break on the horizon. In a corresponding move, though, catcher Ivan Herrera was activated from the 10-day IL. He had been out with a hamstring strain and will see a lot of time at DH to keep him healthy because he is one of the Cardinals' best bats, which will allow Pedro Pajes to keep seeing time behind the plate for the Cardinals, with Yoel Pozo backing him up. And our other IL placement involves third baseman Connor Norby, who was placed on the 10-day IL with wrist inflammation. Third baseman Graham Pauley was recalled from the minors in a corresponding move and is expected to be on the strong side of a third base platoon, splitting time with Javier Sanoja. In terms of transactions, starting pitcher Sean Manaea was activated from the 60-day IL to make his season debut. He had been out all year with an oblique strain, as well as loose bodies in his elbow. He made his debut in Kansas City, pitching in relief, tossing 3 1/3 innings, allowing 5 hits, 1 run, and no walks, while punching out 7, inducing 13 whiffs with 40% CSW across 65 pitches. So Manaea was right on track in his return, and he's expected to join the Mets rotation after the All-Star break. Austin Warren was optioned to the minors in a corresponding move. And our last transaction involves second baseman Luis Arias, who was activated from the 10-day IL. He had been out with a hamstring strain and is expected to return to being the A's everyday second baseman, which means Zach Geloff was optioned to the minors in a corresponding move. Now we can take a look at our notable performances from Sunday, a day in which we had a full slate of 15 games. We'll start it off with our hitters, leading off with second baseman Bryce Terang, who helped the Brewers to win against the Nationals, going 1 for 4 with a run, a home run, and an RBI. It was his 6th homer of the year and it traveled 406 feet at 102 miles per hour. And despite having what I would deem a much quieter season, Terang has made obvious improvements at the plate. It seems as though he's swinging harder, which is reflected in his increased bat speed, according to Baseball Savant, and that has made it more difficult for I think it hasn't made it more difficult for him to make contact, but it has paid off by allowing him to hit the ball harder, as evidenced by career highs in barrel rate and hard hit rate. What I meant to say is his contact rate is down, Terang's contact rate is down, but he's hitting the ball harder, and that has ultimately led to a career high 274 batting average because of those increased hard hit balls. It also provides him a much higher power ceiling. So after being a somewhat empty stolen base threat who finished 3rd in baseball last year with 50 steals, he is a lot more well-rounded this year. That's Bryce Terang, 274, 6 homers, and 17 steals on the season. Next, we have second baseman Cole Young, who helped the Mariners to win in Detroit, going 2 for 4 with a run, a home run, and an RBI. It was his 2nd homer of the year and traveled 402 feet at 110 miles per hour. Young hasn't made much noise during his debut campaign, failing to provide much at the dish without standing out in the field. He's batting just .254 with his .652 OPS, but the 2022 first-round pick surely has some potential. Young displayed impressive plate discipline during his ascent through the minors, walking more than he struck out at his final stop, but he hasn't shown off that MLB-ready approach yet in the bigs, walking just 5% of the time with a 22% strikeout rate. And on top of that, Young's batted ball quality has been pretty poor, and he's been intent on lifting and pulling the ball as much as he can and hasn't displayed a consistent ability to hit the ball hard. But with a 110 mile per hour homer on Sunday and a max EV north of 113, Young has clearly got pop, and he's still just 21. So as he gets settled into the majors, he should become more patient and should show off his pop more consistently. Young's not worth the time outside of AL only leagues right now in fantasy, but he's definitely a name to remember. Lastly, we have shortstop Otto Lopez, who helped the Marlins to win in Baltimore, going 2 for 5 with a run, a home run, and two runs batted in, was his 11th homer of the year, and it traveled 379 feet at 98 miles per hour. And Lopez has taken over at short for the Marlins since they moved Xavier Edwards off the position. And while Lopez's WRC plus has only improved by 4 points over last year, I really like the changes he continues to make to his game. It stands out that he's already nearly doubled last year's homer total in 40 fewer games, and that is completely supported by more fly balls and an increased barrel rate, while Lopez has improved his plate discipline and his contact ability. And there's really not an area that Lopez hasn't improved this year, and his expected metrics suggest an even higher ceiling for him to reach. And I think Otto Lopez should be rostered everywhere. But if you'd like a breakdown of other notable hitting performances from Sunday, check out the daily Batters Box article over on PitcherList.com. Now we'll head to the mound and check out some notable starting pitching performances, opening with Nick Pivetta, who did all he could, but the Padres lost to the Phillies. He tossed 6 2/3 shutout innings, allowing just 3 hits and 2 walks while punching out 8. He induced 15 whiffs with 36% CSW across 104 pitches, and I was pumped to see Pivetta heading to San Diego this offseason because of the possibility he might finally avoid the inflated home run rates that plagued him in the past. And I was right to be excited as his home run to fly ball rate has normalized. He's taken off. He wrapped up an impressive first half on Sunday, taking down the Phillies with dominance of his main trio of pitches. Pavetta's high IVB four-seamer filled up the zone and got away with a lot, returning 9 foul balls and 11 called strikes, but he got ample support against righties from his sweeper, which he spotted glove side beautifully for 9 whiffs and 52% CSW, and against lefties, he relied on his hammer curveball, which was effective to the tune of 2 whiffs and 30% CSW. And just to make things easy on Pivetta, he found tons of strikes with his secondary heaters, his sinker, and his cutter. Pavetta's stuff is undeniable, and he now has the park and defense to support the breakout. And I honestly would not be looking to sell high, as I fully expect him to continue this run throughout the rest of the season. He should get the Nationals after the All-Star break. Speaking of the Nationals, Jake Irvin did all he could, but the Nationals lost in Milwaukee. He tossed 5 scoreless innings, allowing 4 hits and 1 walk while punching out 5. He induced 9 whiffs with 25% CSW across 93 pitches, and Irvin hasn't been nearly as consistent as he was last year, but he has shown flashes of brilliance and found 5 shutout frames in Milwaukee on Sunday without the usual success from his curve, which earned strikes just 50% of the time while failing to eclipse 17% CSW. Irvin's four-seamer, though, stepped up with an extra tick of velocity, inducing 5 whiffs for 29% CSW, while cutters found similar success glove side with 3 whiffs and 27% CSW to keep him in at bats. His sinker returned 83% strikes and 28% CSW as hitters were unwilling to offer at them low in the zone. I'd love to see Irvin's curve to show up more often. It's his best pitch, and it's really the biggest determination of his success. And it's really not great for Irvin to be so reliant on his fastballs because they're really not that great. But we'll take this performance all day. I'm not sure if I'm starting him against the Padres in his return from the All-Star game next week, or I guess later this week. And lastly, we've got Yoshinobu Yamamoto, who helped the Dodgers to a win in San Francisco, tossing 7 shutout innings, allowing 3 hits and 2 walks while punching out 7. He induced 13 whiffs with 33% CSW across 91 pitches. And Yamamoto has been great all year. And while his strikeout ceiling is capped until he starts to elevate his four-seamer more often, he's still been well worth rostering with a 2.59 ERA, pitching for a winning ball club. Against the rival Giants on Sunday, his four-seamer was a strike machine, stealing 12 called strikes for 41% CSW, while low splitters induced 6 whiffs and 30% CSW, and his curve and cutter chipped in as well, with the hook returning 4 whiffs and 44% CSW, while his cutter found a pair of whiffs and a trio of outs on balls in play. Yamamoto could be a good sell-high candidate, in my opinion, as his innings are likely to be limited in the second half, and his underlying metrics suggest a slight step back moving forward. He should get the Twins after the All-Star break, but if you'd like a breakdown of every single start from Sunday, give the Plus Pitch podcast a listen and check out Nick's daily SP roundup over on PitcherList.com. Now we'll head to the bullpen and check out the relievers that got saves and the closers that pitched outside of save situations or blew their saves. Starting with the former, Aroldis Chapman struck out the side in order for his 17th save. Daniel Palencia pitched a perfect ninth for his 12th save. Emilio Pagan recorded his 20th save with a perfect ninth. David Bednar is up to 13 saves after his scoreless ninth. Ryan Helsley also pitched a scoreless ninth for his 19th save. Mason Miller also got his 19th save with a scoreless ninth. And lastly, Matt Strahm pitched a hitless ninth for his 6th save. And in terms of closers to pitch outside of save situations or blow their saves, Devin Williams pitched a perfect ninth down by 3 to end his first half on a high note. Will Vest surrendered a run while pitching the eighth up by 1 to blow his fourth save. The Tigers would go on to lose that one in 9 innings. Andres Munoz pitched a scoreless ninth in that one with a 4-run lead the Mariners tacked on in the top half. So I think he was in line for a save before those 4 runs coming in the ninth. Carlos Estevez allowed 2 runs in the ninth to blow his 5th save, but he took his 4th win when the Royals walked it off in the bottom half. Yohan Duran pitched the ninth in a tie game and allowed a run to take his 4th loss. Grant Taylor surrendered a run while pitching the 8th and 9th. The White Sox would lose that one in 10. Emmanuel Clase earned his 5th win with flawless pitching across the 9th and 10th. Camilo Doval pitched a scoreless 9th in a tie game. The Giants would lose that one in 11. Tanner Scott pitched in that one, serving up a 2-run homer in the 9th to blow his 7th save, but the Dodgers would hang on to win in 11. And lastly, Kevin Ginkel pitched a scoreless 8th up by 4 with Kendall Graveman pitching the 9th, so definitely worth watching there in Arizona once we return from the All-Star break. But if you'd like more information on relief pitchers, check out Rick Graham's weekly articles over on pitcherlist.com. And before we look at the All-Star festivities, we're going to take a quick break. And we're back. Now we'll take a look at Monday, July 14th. And actually, we'll start off by looking back again on Sunday and talking about the MLB draft. I'll run through the top 10 picks. I don't have much analysis here, but hey, at least you'll get all the names. The first overall pick of the 2025 draft went to the Washington Nationals, and they selected high school shortstop Eli Willits. So he'll have that to go on his resume for the rest of his life. Number 1 overall pick in the MLB draft. Pretty cool. Number 2 pick went to the Angels. They went under slot to take right-handed UCSB standout Tyler Bremner. The 3rd pick went to the Mariners. They took LSU standout left-handed pitcher Cade Anderson. Not that the Mariners need any more pitching, but it is cool to see another big pitcher come out of LSU. Obviously, the first name that comes to mind is Paul Skeens, so Anderson will have a lot to live up to. Then we have maybe the number 1 draft prospect going to the Rockies with the 4th pick, as shortstop Ethan Holiday, coming out of high school, was selected by the Rockies, as I mentioned. Obviously, the brother of Jackson Holiday and the son of Matt Holiday. The 5th pick went to the Cardinals, and they selected southpaw Liam Doyle, who went to Tennessee. The 6th pick went to right-handed pitcher, or went to the Pirates, and it was right-handed pitcher Seth Hernandez, who's coming out of high school. Not that the Pirates need any more pitching, but hey, they got another top-end talent there coming into the rotation. And the 7th pick went to the Mariners. They took shortstop Ava Arquette out of OSU. The 8th pick went to the Blue Jays. They took shortstop JoJo Parker out of high school. The Reds, with the 9th pick, also went for a high school shortstop, drafting Steele Hall. And lastly, to wrap up the top 10, the White Sox took shortstop Billy Carlson, who is also out of high school. Now we'll take a look at Monday, and we'll start off because we've got the Home Run Derby. Honestly, my favorite part of the whole All-Star festivities. It's always a blast to watch. The field is going to be Byron Buxton, Junior Caminero, Jazz Chisholm Jr., O'Neill Cruz, Matt Olson, Cal Raleigh, Brent Rooker, and James Wood. Reminder, this is in Atlanta, so Matt Olson maybe will have a leg up over the rest of the field, though I think I'm going to be putting my money on O'Neill Cruz. He just hits the ball so hard, and so far I'm excited to see how that goes with the Home Run Derby. We've also got the All-Star game on Tuesday. It'll be Tarek Skubal versus Paul Skeens, squaring off back-to-back All-Star game starts for Paul Skeens. Pretty impressive, but that's pretty much what we're going to see, and I will be back with you guys at the end of the All-Star festivities. Actually, that'll be Trevor back with you on Thursday. I'll be back with you next week, but that'll do it for this episode of the First Pitch Podcast. Make sure to head on over to pitcherlist.com to check out all of the great articles and features we have on the site. Sign up for PL Plus or PL Pro to gain access to the Discord and to support the Pitcher List staff. You can follow me on Twitter at Jake Crumpler. Tune in live on YouTube tomorrow and every day for a new installment of the podcast. Actually, I literally just said we'll see you back in a few days. Trevor will be with you on Thursday, but make sure to enjoy the day as we are blessed with another day of baseball.